I got all the fingers and toes crossed. You know, Meta, is that what they're calling themselves now? Yeah, Meta. You know, that is just it is so stupid.
Little Zuckerberg up there in his evil plotting.
Yeah.
I know, can't you see him?
All right, we're in the green room. All right, good. Oh no, I hope Facebook didn't catch us talking about it.
I know.
So listen, welcome back to the green room, everybody.
Welcome to the green room. We have a great green room today.
We really
in
do.
honor of all our veterans. Happy Veterans Day today.
Couldn't have better guests. We got Jeff Demond and Jose Belen. We'll introduce them a little bit better in a moment. But listen, everybody, we are back. We got knocked off last week because Facebook, when they changed to Meta, yeah, we did. It took us a little while to kind of wrangle them out, right, Don? All morning, really. It was interesting.
It took us,
and even this morning when I tried to share a couple things and add a picture of Jose's flag to my post, I don't know, maybe it'll show up at 11:30 or something. I've never seen this preparing to post or something. I don't know. It's very weird. But anyway, they got their problems. And listen, Florida's got a couple problems, but one
just a couple.
Just a couple.
Just a couple.
But I did note on the front page of the Sarasota Herald Tribune today that they were very intrigued by how Surgeon General Dr. Ladapo got his medical license in Florida in 2 days, everybody. 2 days.
Oh, that's intriguing.
No. Nobody gets their license in 2 days.
I know, nobody
it's literally impossible, just to the extent of the checking of transcripts and other such things that have to be,
they have to transfer a license even from a former state.
So he was fast-tracked, and that's kind of, I guess Rachel Maddow did a kind of a thing the other night. Yeah, that featured him. I didn't see it, you know.
Unbelievable.
But listen, here's the good news about COVID-19. We always kind of start off with a little update on that. The good news is Doctors Hospital, our community hospital in town, has 0 cases, guys, which is great. And Sarasota Memorial is down to 22 or so, which is great. Yeah, so I think let's maintain, let's, you know, keep our social distancing and our masking and, you know, for sure. And listen, on the other hand, I got a update from a nurse up in Canton that I know, 72 cases in their various units up there in Altman, biggest hospital in Canton. They're coding 30 and 40. I showed you the text.
I mean, seriously,
it was chilling. They're still coding 30 and 40-year-olds. And
because their kids are bringing
it home. So there's still disastrous areas in the country. So, you know, let's not let our guard down. And to that, segueing in, what a great couple of guests we have today. And listen, it's Veterans Day, you know, and listen, we had the discussion. So we have Jeff Demond, the grateful veteran. A lot of people know him. And Jeff, you'll give a little intro on yourself in a moment. And of course, Jose Belen, who many people know from his wonderful work with, you know, Mission Zero and otherwise. And I can't wait to hear the projects that you guys are up to, which is really why I wanted to get you on today, because as we know, our veterans consistently deserve our love and respect, and we need to make sure they know about all the services that are available to them, including the great projects that these guys are up to. But listen, the first thing is Veterans Day, we're allowed to raise the glass or perhaps puff pass on this day as opposed to Memorial Day, and we were kind of talking that early on.
Veterans, and shout out to my brother and my nephew, both captains in the U.S. Army. So
all of our veterans, but this is the day that we can celebrate, right, Jeff? This is the day we can celebrate, so to speak, and raise the glass and kind of get into that a little bit and explain.
This is a victory day for veterans. You know, this is the day that you can be recognized for your service. And selfishly, I would say that most veterans served completely selflessly. Yes. Absolutely. So I love Veterans Days. I'm going to the parade later. I drive my Jeep in the Cape Coral Parade. It's a lot of fun. Nice. So yeah, as compared to Memorial Day, where even though the sentiment is there when people say Happy Memorial Day, it's just a little bit different. And so thanks for having me, Barry. I really appreciate it.
No, listen, it's overdue. And Jose, of course, is a repeat guest. And of course, listen, we all know that Jose has given us some of our most poignant moments in the green room.
Don and I were talking this morning about you, Jose, and I'm like, oh my God, every time he's on, he brings me to tears. And I'm like, he's like the best guy. It's like a chick flick, you know, you're sitting there listening to him and he talks about his mom, and every woman in the audience, everybody that's listening at home, they all say they're tearing up and the tears are streaming down their face. I mean, not in a pleasant way because of what you experienced experience, but I just have to say you touch so many people's lives when you speak. It's incredible.
So it's great to have you back, Jose. And
yeah.
listen, I see you're up to a whole bunch of new things and a new position and, kind of get into everything that's going on. And then, you too, of course, Jeff. And, listen, we all know that our veterans need, every bit of support that we can give them, in 2021.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's an honor to be here. Jeff, happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to all the listeners, the veterans out there, brothers and sisters. Thank you for your service. As you mentioned, today is a day to embrace your service and to be proud. So, I really hope everyone is feeling that this morning. Thank you to you guys. As far as myself, I'm a humble servant, faithful man and husband and father. But beyond that, my role in life now is to do whatever I can to help illuminate the path to anyone that walks in darkness. And, I've been blessed to be put in, positions organically that allow me to continue serving. So as far as Mission Zero goes, I want to say thank you to the Elks Lodge here in Central Florida in Sanford. We were able to get together, that's Elks Lodge 1241, to sponsor 52 veterans and their families to be able to go to the Wizards Magic game this weekend. That is actually the Seats for Soldiers game. And then on top of that, we will also be doing another jersey ceremony to honor the fallen. Jeff, is very gracious, and we're honoring a Gold Star family within his network. And so, through that aspect with Mission Zero Magic, at the end of the day, it's really to shed light, on the families, but also let them know that, it's time to go beyond the thank you. So on that side, we're working on the
Hang on
flag.
for a second. And that's a continued mission of yours, Jose. That's a seed that you've planted and cultivated, right?
Yes, sir.
You've had other, for sure. And I just think that proves that persistence, right, really is important in the mission. Everybody knows, of course, that there's a cannabis connection, with Mission Zero, and, just once again, normalizing that, within the sports community. You do.
We have to eliminate the stigma. It's time, for us to really look at what, whole plant access can do to, someone with PTSD, as opposed to a full regimen of medications, pills that aren't working. Compassionate access at this time, should have been granted. If they can overnight us pills, right, they should be able to also allow us the opportunity to have some, medicine come by that, route as well. So, I'm working on a number of initiatives. You mentioned a new position. So I was, grateful to accept the role of vice president with the Mental Wellness Networking Alliance out of Coral Springs, that is headed by Scott Brook. He's also the mayor of Coral Springs, Florida. I've been blessed to have a good relationship
Awesome.
over the years with him and that community down there, the MSD community, Parkland. I don't really talk about it much, but Damien, my son, graduated from MSD in 2020. And so our time in that community was well spent with these families that, were affected and afflicted by the tragedy there. So to this day, I'm a humble servant, not only to that veteran community there in South Florida, but also to the Coral Springs Parkland community. So that's where that vice president role comes in, as to how can, I, work with Scott. We work together with a shared vision to have it feel like Veterans Day every day, right? That, companies or organizations out there should just every day want to say, hey, look, forget the margins for a second. Let's see what we can really do. These mattress companies and whatnot, one of the most frustrating things is on Veterans Day, every year I see mattress sales. There's veterans down the street that don't even have a house to put a mattress in. And you guys are pushing mattress sales. That to me, that's, abhorrent. So on the, art side of things, using that as a tool to illuminate, the path, create, networks of veterans that are trying to also get into the artistic realm, but maybe have a lack of self-confidence. It's like, hey, look, try something, create something. So by virtue of the woodwork and all the community work and that aspect, came into thought not that long ago to at some point look at, with all this reclaimed wood that we have and support, why don't we figure out a way to build that first tiny home for a veteran, out of, these materials, and have the community do it. And I don't care if it's one home a year, but the community will build it. We can do this. And so I'm at a place now that, on a day-to-day basis, while there's a lot going on, there's a lot of need out there. And that's where this community, Barry, Jeff, we talk about it all the time. We have to be like-minded at this time. We have to be willing to work with one another and put differences to the side, because the people today, that unfortunately will end their life, right? Or that addiction will take them. I know myself at the times where I was going to pull that trigger. It's a very horrible place to be when you're alone. It's just you and your firearm, and there's no one else but you and your creator. I couldn't help but, think at that moment, why is this happening? And I felt like I was a liability. I felt like I was a burden, and I was ruining everyone else's day. And that's the saddest thing, is that there's people out there today that really think no one cares. But that's the thing, we do care, because if you're a leader, if you're in a position of, light, I call it, right, to be able to make a difference, it should behoove you to want to do that, because if, you have one candle that's lit and one next to it that's not lit, a candle loses nothing lighting another candle.
That's what's always impressed me about the things that you and Jeff have done, and the things you do together. And, I want you to talk about I don't know if you guys are meeting once a month right now or every other week on Fridays. It's a veterans group. So, I troll you guys once in a while. They let me in every once in a while, but it's uniquely for the veterans. And I like to see you guys light each fire as you go. And I think as you guys bring people into your groups, and I mean it, you give people that spark of passion that they can also pass it on to the next person. And sometimes that's like all people have is that spark to inspire them to continue to go on, and I can say, listen, I've never been there, fortunately, in my life where I've been that depressed, but I would think that would be one thing that would assist me if somebody who's been there before would say, listen, this is how I recovered, right? And that's what always inspires me about you guys, is that you'll meet with one person, Jeff, and I know you've done it for me when I've called you with a veteran in my practice. There's things that go on behind the scenes, and we don't talk about it a lot. People talk about the difference between cannabis practices and who your contacts are and what you do. What I always make sure that I do is have contacts like you, Jeff, and you, Jose, that can reach out to a veteran when I know that there's a veteran in need. And, we don't talk about it often, but you saved some of my patients, literally, guys, by your outreach. And
I appreciate that. That's
it's the way it is. And that's why I say lighting that fire for each of your veterans that come into your groups is what inspires me.
I think that's the validation. That's why I do this, is because I know, like at that last event, someone came up to me and said, last year you got me my card. You changed my life. I got my own nonprofit helping people with PTSD. And that's what makes me happy. It's not always a weapon that veterans take their life with. They get in positions of failing to thrive, not caring whether they live or die, and they wind up in that pill bottle full of poison and end their lives that way very easily. And that doesn't count for the 22 a day, but it's the same place,
Well, you guys made the point earlier, once again, before we went on, that it's not always the disabled 100% veteran, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's the partially disabled veteran, right? Jeffrey,
yeah, they're still fighting for their rights. I mean, I help veterans do that now. I'm in contact with VSOs in my local area, and I try to help those veterans that are struggling to get their rating approval, or they've been denied, or the reason they were discharged doesn't match the VA paperwork that they have. Weird things like that. I try to help those guys get through that. I've helped veterans get their initial claims started. I'm very passionate about that, because most vets don't ask for help. So I try to push it as much as I can. Hey man, I'm helping. Whatever you need, I'm out there. There's a young man that started a radio station here. It's called F5 Radio, like F5, the hurricane. It's an internet-based radio, but he's a Navy veteran. I helped him get his card. He's having me on every Friday now, but his whole show, all the commercials are veteran-based. If you need help, reach out to this person. If you're feeling down, the suicide hotline, the White House number, all his commercials are based about that. that makes me feel really, really good because I helped this young man. Now he's helping others too. So that's really what I think Jose was talking about. The candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. So if we can just keep teaching and pushing forward like this and show that cannabis cares in more ways than just one, like, you know, it's not about we want to smoke weed. This plant saved my life, and many of us are in that same position. So that's why I do this. 100%.
Jeff, I can tell you, you know, there have been times where I personally, and this is what's very critical. It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I personally called Jeff, and he's been there, right, and vice versa, and that's and it extends. The veteran network extends beyond that, and that's why it's important to lift one another up, right? We have Ron Millward, right, in Pennsylvania, Balanced Veterans, Sarah Stena, Veterans in Honda, New York State, right? You have Leo Bridgewater in New Jersey. You have a cross section, right, of veterans that, and that's what we uncovered during COVID, right? During Veterans Happy Hour and those Fridays, that, you know, we all may not look at ourselves independently as leaders, but we are all a part of leading something together. And that's what this is. You know, if I can't serve a particular veteran, I can pick up the phone and call Jeff, right? If he can't serve that veteran, he'll make, right? And the network just keeps going.
That's happening now with Pennsylvania Balanced Veterans Network. They're getting me in touch with Florida veterans that need help, and I'm helping them through their network. So that's really powerful for us to have connected with other like-minded groups and that are doing things and pushing the envelope in other states. And we talked about it a lot. That group of veterans that we have on a Friday afternoon is a very, very powerful group. And once we get our spear sharpened and pointed, look out, because the people that are backing that group individually, veterans helping veterans, is a powerful, powerful thing.
It is. Are you guys seeing like more like proactive like legislation and things for veterans? Like, are they making more and more strides? Because I just always feel like, and even speaking to like my brother and my nephew, a lot of times they wish there was like you guys have this network and it's powerful and you guys are helping each other. But I always feel like, you know, you served our country, and I always feel like our country needs to do so much better for you guys. I mean, it really does. And I just, it's like, it gets frustrating to hear, like, you know, everybody says the thank yous. And like you said, there's a mattress sale. Well, the veteran who you're praising a Veterans Day, the guy is homeless on the street because he has issues and you're not helping him. So this is like, I always feel so conflicted because I get angry at our own government a lot, because I think we just need to do so much better for those who serve. And, you know, the mouthpieces are nice, but it comes down to still 22 veterans a day are suicidal. And, you know, this is a tragedy for our country. And I don't know, do you guys see it getting any better? Like, you guys really know more than I do. And because I'm frustrated just hearing it.
It's hard for me to say it's getting better, but.
Yeah.
Well, on the cannabis side, unfortunately, they just denied research again for the veterans in cannabis. And that was very, very disappointing. You know, we do speak to the positives that are being attempted up in Washington to codify, right? That you can't lose benefits, right? Which we know is the attitude now. You know, in Florida, we were talking a little bit. It is frustrating, Ruta, and I share the same. Listen, the VA system, when I was up in Northeast Ohio and, you know, trained in Cleveland, Ohio, I mean, it was horrible. I think here in Florida, I hear that it's somewhat better, and I think our veterans do have access to health care most times, but still suffering from so many different directions, and especially from the mental health, you know, aspect. We know that we know that, but the point is, in Florida, in cannabis right now, hopefully legislation, and here's the update, everybody. So, you know, in January through March, we'll have our 2 months of legislative session in Florida. As I tell everybody, you know, it's amazing, Ruta, how many Northerners, and guys, you probably appreciate this too. How many people don't know that the Florida legislature only meets for 2 months every year, which is true. So now we're in the committee sessions where they're literally writing the bills for next year. Here's the good news. there will be a bill presented, believe it or not. And Jose, I don't know if you've heard this yet. It's actually Representative Andrew Learned, the Democrat from the Tampa area, and Representative Roach, actually, who was a proponent of last year's 10% THC cap, has kind of come to the positive on the education side in a lot of ways. Although, listen, we have to see what the bill looks like. But he's the co-sponsor on the Republican side, interestingly enough. But in the bill is significant veterans access issues to the positive. Hopefully, free veterans cards for all honorably discharged veterans, right? Veterans card perhaps for 5 years, right? And further recognition. The most important thing, and you know, we've talked about it on other green rooms, is the job protections, right? For each and every veteran who's in the workplace, honorably serving not only his family, paying his bills, paying his taxes. No veteran or other workers, of course, but to me, we have to focus on our veterans. No veteran should have the anxiety issue of his workplace being able to take job action against him because he holds a medical cannabis card. That has to be solved. It needs to be changed.
But you know, a friend of mine, he's a physician up in Tampa at the VA, and he and I had a candid discussion about cannabis use with veterans, and he sees the patients. And he knows cannabis would help them, but he cannot recommend them get it. He cannot. So he said, it's very bad for you. Do not go to a cannabis clinic. And he's shaking his head, yes, because he verbally can't say it. He's like, it's very, very bad for you. And he's going like this.
And it's those things that are just the paradox of idiocy. Listen, Ruta, here's the good news. And you know this because you see it. The glass is half full. Now the VA counselors and their docs and their PAs and nurse practitioners, they're able to somewhat recommend. They can't get involved yet. I know.
So the actual VA rule, if you Google cannabis and veterans, you know, cannabis veterans using cannabis, whatever, there's a VA website, va.gov, that lays it out that if you're in a medical state, the doctor is not to advise you for or against cannabis in any way whatsoever. And you can continue to be in any of the VA programs. However, there are some individualized programs, mental health and pain management, that they might want to talk to you about your cannabis use while you're in their care. That's not kicking you out of a program. It's just trying to manage you in a different way. So there are steps that makes me feel good that way. And I have had the counselor at the local VA drop a stack of my cards on the table and walk out of the room and say, this guy might be able to help you in ways that I can't. And like, I'll get 4 of them at a time. They'll call and say, hey, this guy gave me your card. I qualified that same veteran counselor too. I got him his cannabis card. So that kind of stuff is happening because they understand the benefits, but it's in little dots around, you know.
It's absolutely, you know, mind numbing to see the hoops that, you know, we at this time had to jump through. And Jeff, kudos to you, because what Jeff has been doing all these years, he's been making what we all know is possible a reality in real time, even with the political, you know, opposition that we have. And it's very frustrating to have talked personally to politicians, right? You know, been to Tallahassee, you know, been to the Capitol, and, you know, they say, well, I would love to support this. Unfortunately, if I support this, you know, my career may go in the dumps. And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of these career politicians, all they care about is their, you know, foothold in that position and self-preservation. And policy at this time does come, you know, into play before the people, because there is no time to play for that family, right, that is affected by that veteran that's going through that suffering, right? As a veteran is going through these, you know, issues and suffrage, you know, the people around him, you know, are also possibly being exposed to secondary PTSD, right? No one thinks of that wife or that son or daughter, you know, that is around while this veteran is trying to cope. And so the fallout here, and this is the pressure on the politicians, it's not just the veterans that your lack of logic is affecting. It's the family element. And then what happens? The minute a suicide happens in a household, statistically it's shown the likelihood of a suicide repeating in that household immediately increases by 50%. Wow. Right? And so you just have millions and hundreds of thousands, of families of veterans that to this day, a lot of them are adults, right, that have trauma from their dad when he came home from Vietnam, right? So this is a generational collapse that in real time you have veterans coming out of service every day. Almost 250,000 service members come out of the service every year. Over 200,000 new veterans come out a year. And what is there for them? A system that we know doesn't work. We know it's broken. And you have advocates and just human beings like Jeff, myself, Ron, all you guys, right, trying to say, hey, stop the political BS and just get it done. And that's why suing the federal government with Alexis Wortel, right, with Marvin Washington, and going at Jeff Sessions at that time, and the DEA, was an honor on behalf of the veterans and the families, because at this time there are children, suffering in pain, adults, walking around this country that can walk into a Walgreens and get a bottle of pills, but then they have to run the risk of going to jail if they go and get some smoke. I hate to say that, but that's really the truth. You have pain clinics and all this left and right, but dispensaries and all this get all that opposition. At least put a framework in that works and allow compassionate access. And these politicians, I hate to say it, I just don't ever seeing it. I don't ever see it being, that battle that we're going to win easily. I think it's going to continue to be drawn out. Lives will continue to be lost, because if they really cared, they would fix it now as we're on this podcast.
I think for me personally, and this is something I know it'll never change, but I honestly think that anybody that gets into the Washington, D.C. space, they have had to have served in the military. I think it should be mandatory, because when you have done what you guys have done and seen what you have seen, one, you will not send your children into battle. And two, you will fix the system because you know how broken it is. I think it should be, because they're so out of touch. And like I said, the mattress still just comes to mind every single time, like you said it. It's like these people are so disconnected that, they're just disconnected. And I think unless they've served, it won't change. And we've had Representative Stubbe on our show, and he did serve, and he is a big proponent for change. And he said, he's like, I can only push so much because he gets pushed back. And he is very pro-veteran, and because he did see, and he does see the changes that have to happen. And he's like, he said it himself. He goes, it's like one baby step at a time. He presents a bill. He knows it's going to get shot down. He goes back with the second time with another bill for the veterans, trying to get something in. And it is, I think the ones that serve, they are frustrated, because I mean, I heard it in his voice too. He was genuinely frustrated.
Who could vote against research? I mean, that is just the most frustrating of all things. And that just makes I don't know. That's why we continue to get on the soapbox and do what we do. And, guys, we're in Florida. We know it. We got to work within the system that we have, but continue to battle for home grow, right? I'll give a shout out to the Regulate Florida petitions, everybody. Let's not forget that.
Sign that. And even for veterans,
listen, our veterans are only going to get to home grow if we bring it through constitutional amendment. We surely can't count on the legislature giving us that. Okay, at least for 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. But we do have a chance through constitutional amendment.
But even in the home grow, it's there's a veteran organization in Sarasota, Florida that just bought I think it was 20 acres of land to have farming and planting. It's therapeutic for veterans. And
Absolutely.
And to have home grow, it's therapy. And I just, again, it's just it baffles me every single time. It's I just.
So we briefly touched on it, Jose did, but I was getting mailed 270 oxycodone 10s a month in the mail. I didn't even have to go out of my house to get it. And for me to switch over to a plant and be able to break down a flower and see it and feel it and smell it and anticipate the relief that will provide me is therapeutic in itself. And super empowering for me to have a flower instead of a grocery bag full of pills.
God knows what's in it.
And to be able to grow my medicine. When I came home from after 20 years, I I set my alarm Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I had house plants, and it simply said 8 o'clock, water your plant, because I wasn't likely to get out of bed 3 days in a row. So that made me get up and take care of somebody else other than me. And by doing that, I had to take care of myself a little bit, but it propagated more and more. And to be able to grow my own medicine or help other veterans grow their own medicine or propagate that system of growing your own medicine, man, that to me is winning, you know, in more than one way, because it puts your heart and soul into something else other than remembering what happened to you, and providing yourself a future. You know, cannabis gave me hope. My shirt saves lives, and 100%. But it started with that hope of I can do this. You know what I mean? So for me to exit opioids on cannabis in an illegal state, the government made me a criminal to get better. I don't like that, and I try to send that message out. Like my logo is red, white, and blue. I care what the public thinks about me. My choice of medicine should be celebrated, because the way I was dangerous to me and to others around me, because I would go from this to angry like that, and I had no control. Now you can hear my emotions because I have feeling again, where I was blocked so much by the combat cocktail, let's say that. So to have better access that's what I always say. Access is key. And if to anything, and I don't really care what the system is, as long as there's access and we can work within that system to get veterans that cannabis medicine, is a win.
And I think there are wins out there, Jeff, because as you know, and Jose, there are discounts at pretty much every dispensary for our veterans. We surely offer a veterans discount in our clinic, you know. Once again, we try to make sure that when people come into our clinic, they know every discount available all around the state, so that they can offset the price, you know, of their medicine best that they can. And, you know, Jim, I got to just tell you, you got the best backdrop ever. It looks like the plant is just literally emanating. It is. It's like it could not be any better. And, you know, listen, just having you guys on today is just so meaningful. It's 9:01, which always happens in the green room. So just give us,
to have them on again.
Of course.
It's always nice.
I know. And once again, just give me one or two just of your projects right now, guys, for our veterans to clue into, as you say, the happy hour and, you know, Fridays and things like that. And Jose, once again, your big Orlando thing coming up, and anything else we can do to promo what you guys are up to.
Absolutely. We have something I haven't really put out more officially yet, but having an art show during Art Basel in Miami. First.
We love Art Basel.
Basel.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's Jose Bellin's first annual Vet Basel, right? And putting it out. You know, it's going to come out on social media today on Veterans Day, but the theory is to use this as an opportunity
Announcements in the green room. We love it. Yeah.
That's a good
to put the art out there, but celebrate the lives of the fallen, honor those who served. But as this, you know, continues every year, you know, use this as a platform for me to share to any other veteran that's trying to come out in the art space, and just use it as an opportunity to create art scholarships, fundraisers. You know, Jeff and I are going to collaborate on a flag. Don't want to put too much out that we're going to auction off. You know, and so on the philanthropic side of things, you know, you're able to, you know, have fun with, you know, Mission Zero and the magic, but also on the art side of things, you know, coming with Vet Basel.
If I do something in Sarasota, would you bring some vets and some art to Sarasota? Because I promise you, I'll get you a venue and we'll do it. Because I did art jam before for a couple charity events, so I'm good at it. But if you guys promise me, I'll do it for you guys. All right, awesome. I'll talk to you guys offline on that one. We'll bring it to Sarasota too. Any other great announcements? Because these are awesome announcements.
I've been writing letters to the different dispensaries, challenging them all to give a veterans discount, even if it's only on one day a week or one day a month. If they do it the first Saturday of every month, most vets get paid on the first, so they'll have their money. They can fill up on their medicine at a discounted rate. the dispensaries won't lose money. They'll actually, I would think that they would sell more product, but it gives veterans an opportunity. Like, I only get paid once a month, so I gotta manage that money all month long. So if I can make sure I have my medicine, I think that benefits everybody. So I try to push that for the dispensaries in Florida. There's only one that's given 30% right now. There's a bunch of Veterans Day specials going on, so I would encourage people to go out there right now. I just saw True Leaves or Sotera's at like 45% today. I know Vitacan's got a 40% discount. Like I said on the panel, Barry, corporate cannabis doesn't matter to me. I work within the system that we have and push it as much as I can. Profit is for whoever's got that money. That's not about me. I'm just about educating people on the medicine and getting them access. Home grow would be a huge win for veterans and cannabis users across the state.
I have a quick note too for you guys, because you have a huge network of veterans. I own a company that actually places veterans into contract jobs. In particular, I just landed one for, if you know of anyone that has like F-15 experience, it's a 1-year Saudi contract, tax-free income, paid housing, paid everything, great salaries.
Wow.
If they want to go, we'll get them out in 30 days and working. So if you
More
know of
great
anyone,
announcements in the green room.
so if you have anybody. Yeah, I'll email you. Perfect. Thank you guys.
Hang on, I want to make one more. I got to do one more thing because I was going to do it last week and we got knocked off. I want to give a big shout out to Jenny Perdomo, who I know you guys know well. Early Canna Warrior, True Leaf rep, dear friend, in hospice right now. But listen, sharing the love with everybody still. And I just wanted to give a shout out to her, and I wanted to do it last week. We didn't. And one other one, she's got to GoFundMe, which I think is of value. And, I never shout those things out. But one other one, Dusty Crum, who a lot of you know, who's the python hunter, had a horrible accident and really is almost at risk of losing his leg. If you look at him, he was the on Swamp World or whatever it is on History Channel. He is the python guy. Anyway, he's a dear friend of the practice. So if you can donate a couple, dollars into his GoFundMe, I think that would be a great thing for him. And, I don't do that in the green room often, but those are two people in particular that I want to make sure we do recognize, and Jenny specifically.
One thing
you guys know her well.
Before I forget, and Barry, thank you for that. And yes, Jennifer, we're praying for her and pushing. For any veteran that's listening or hearing this, please ask for help. One thing that we do, the holidays are very difficult for veterans, but don't ever let pride get in the way. I received a phone call 2 weeks ago from a veteran that was, very honest, said, this is my situation. If I don't have X by this date, my wife and kids will be in the car. And, with a humble heart, we can say that veteran now has stable housing, right, for a year and was taken care of by a servant in the community who wishes to remain anonymous. And that's the thing. If you need help, you're not going to be judged. There are people that care about you. And if we can't personally make a difference, we can find the people who can, and we can do it together. So thanks
so much for that, Jose. Every once in a while, I got to drag a little bit of the personal into it. But, I think in this instance, we all love Jenny so much, and we want to make sure she knows how much
cannabis
we do love
is a community, and, the community cares. That cannabis community cares. And Jennifer's got such a huge heart. And that's one thing why I think Jose and I thrive well in the cannabis space, is because it reminds me of having a like-minded mission. All my guys everybody thought the same way. And with cannabis, we kind of get that back. We all communicate well within that cannabis area. And that part is really important to veterans. They lose that when they leave, and to be able to connect with a group, whether you belong to the group or just connect in at peripherals, that's a benefit to veterans. We lose that. And I think that,
Hug from afar, guys. Can't wait to see you.
Stay safe,
stay healthy, and listen, have a great Veterans Day.
Enjoy your day, and thank you for everything you've done.
Love you, Jose.
Love you guys.
See you soon, guys.
Talk soon. I'll call you soon, Jeff.
All right.
Love you.
Bye, everyone.